right, so here's some depreciation methods. Straight line is the first one. We're measuring the useful life in years. And it assumes the asset's used up in equal proportions over its useful life. And when we're using straight line, you probably remember from AC 102, if you buy the asset in May, you can only depreciate it from May to the end of the year. So we have to compute partial periods for a straight line. So the basic drill is you take the initial cost less the salvage, depreciable base, divide it by the useful life in years, and that gives you your depreciation expense in years. When you're thinking theoretically, the initial cost is a known, the other two are estimates, and they involve judgment, which means that you should use good judgment preferable to bad judgment. Okay, so let's just go across and look at an example, and I'll use this example for all of the different methods so it has more information than we need. So we have a machine that we bought on May 1st. The cost was $315. It's going to last 10 years. And then these would be for your activity methods. Well, you have your production estimated in units and hours. And that would be the life in units, life in hours. And here you have an estimated salvage. Okay. So just using this for information for the straight line, how would we compute everything? Well, you start out with a cost of $315. You deduct the estimated salvage, and you have your depreciable base. If you had bought it in January, you would simply divide by the 10-year useful life, and you would get $30,000 a year depreciation. However, we bought it in May, so we have to go May. We get a handy calculator: May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Looks like 8 months to me. So 8 months. So we would take that $30,000 annual depreciation and multiply it times 8/12. So the first year of depreciation, the year we bought it, would be $20,000 rather than $30,000 because we can only depreciate from May to the end of the year. In some of the homework problems, the partial period adjustments gets very complex, but it's probably nothing you can't handle. Some of them are doing it, there's all different ways it can be done, but this is the basic principle is that it has to be accounted for. Okay, so that's your straight line. Let's look at the units of activity, your activity methods. These are called variable charge, and they're based on how much the asset is producing or how much it is used. So the service life won't be measured in years, it'll be measured in hours, units, miles, something that has some activity to it. And so basically, if it's being used less, you're going to have lower depreciation. If it's used more, you're going to have higher depreciation. The service life may be hard to estimate, but estimates are estimates, and you have to figure that out. So these are various. It could be with the copy machine, the number of copies, or you've got a meter on a machine for the machine hours, and you could look at miles driven. So we start off just the same as straight line. We take the initial cost, less the salvage, get the depreciable base, and we divide by the useful life in units, not years, but units, and that gives us a rate. So this is a two-step process. You have to get the depreciation rate, and then you take that rate times whatever actual usage you had that year to get the depreciation expense for the year. Okay, so let's go across and see how that works. Oop, do across. Ah, all right. Sorry, I'm not trying to make you motion sick here. We're using the same information, and so here's the units of activity, and we take the cost, salvage, we get the depreciable base, and it said up above in the problem that there would be, it expected to produce 240,000 units. So that's the units, expected unit life of the thing. So you divide the 300,000 by that, and you get a depreciation rate of 1.25 per unit. So now you take your actual units for the year of 25.5 times this needs to have, that should be 1.25. I need to add the decimal. A minute, I can just do that. A minute, we'll make this so it's not. Oh wait, here we go. You want to be too confusing here. There we go. It should be 1.25. And you get the depreciation expense for the year. Actual usage the next year is a little higher. You're going to have higher depreciation. Okay, units of activity can also be in terms of, this is in terms of hours. It's going to have a life of 25,000 production hours. So here you're dividing by the hours that the machine will last. And so that gives you a depreciation rate of $12 per hour. So if you used it for 2,650 hours, that would be your depreciation expense for the year. A few more hours, your depreciation expense goes up. There's no adjusting this for the dates that the machine was purchased. It's all about how many units were produced. So don't fall into the trap of saying, oh, it was bought in May, I'd better adjust it. Not with the units of activity. Okay, so that's your units of activity and your straight line. Those basically start with the same premise, and I'm going to do the declining charge methods in the next podcast or video.